Hey everyone, Shiny Sephiroth here, coming back at you here from the Retroverse Nexus. I am so excited to be talking today about the thing that, I think is the real savior of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it is an X-Men property like Deadpool 3, but it actually has to do with the direct X-Men. I'm talking about X-Men 97. I think the cartoon was fantastic. We recently had the finale of the first season, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So I just want to give you a heads up. There are spoilers, just like it says here in the title of the video. So if you're not wanting to be spoiled, unfortunately, this isn't the best video for you to be watching. But for the rest of you who are wanting to talk a little bit about X-Men 97, get some spoiler territory in there, including for season 2, hop on in, and during this discussion about the TV series, I'm going to be doing a toy review at the same time. So it's going to be from the second wave of the X-Men 97 toys from Hasbro's Marvel Legends line. And there's going to be sprinkled in there as well some surprise toy reviews as well that tie into the overall story. I'm not going to say anything more because, spoilers for those of you who are still here. So once that intro plays, the just know that that's when the spoilers are hitting, all right? So for the rest of you who make it to the other side of the intro, let's dive in. All right, so the first toy that we're going to be covering here will be the Goblin Queen. Very excited to be able to be adding her to the collection. My initial thought was to pair her up with the Phoenix display I have. She is, like I said, there's spoilers here. She is the evil, brainwashed form of Madeline Pryor, who is a clone of Jean Grey. And so I thought that was a very cool element to the show, that they were able to dive into the Claremont era of the X-Men comics and really wrap up this storyline in a way that it led the viewer to care, but still make it really fast. I was watching this episode with my wife, and both of us agree that we hate it when shows draw things out, especially when it comes to mind control. Because in the end, because the person was being mind controlled, very, very rarely in TV shows does the mind control person be held accountable for what they did, because it really wasn't them. So, I mean, if we had a whole season of them trying to save Madeline, or even worse, they didn't have Morph in there saying, hey, remember, that's not really her, she's being controlled by Sinister. I've seen a lot of TV shows go that route. It's like, oh, I don't believe she did that. Like, well, she's being mind controlled. And then, but the show just moves forward pretending that, oh, she was evil, evil's evil, it doesn't matter if she was mind controlled, it's over, there's no redemption for her. And I really hate it when TV shows do that as well. So we didn't hit either of those. They went completely against the grain. They said right up from the get, hey, she's mind controlled, remember that. And also, they resolved it in less than an episode. She was no longer mind controlled. I loved it. I know a lot, and the reason I bring this up is because I know a lot of the people in the fandom, or at least a vocal portion of the fandom, was saying that they didn't like that aspect of it. Oh, it went too fast. I loved it. Especially, we see things like Flash, later seasons of The Flash. It was just filler after filler after filler, and the actual main conflict could have been resolved in an episode. It's just so tedious. And so this, to me, was a breath of fresh air, being able to see her move forward. So let me go ahead and really quickly open her up and do a quick little review. And I'm not keeping this box. I actually ended up finding two of her makes me really happy. So I kept one box of her, and this one I'm just going to recycle. And if there happens to be anybody watching who happens to, if you're watching with your parents or something, and you are a minor, please make sure to ask your parents before opening up any toys or figures, just so that there's no accidents that happen. But I don't think that there's going to be a lot of kids watching this. So, right out of the gate, I think she's really cool. I like the design. It's not screen accurate, so that's a little odd. I'm not sure if I'm going to do any custom work to make her look more like she did on screen. With that, though, I feel like it would be quite a bit of work to do that, since, you know, she has pink skin, and she did not have pink skin in the cartoon. I'm guessing this was an early model, an early sketch. They were thinking that Madeline, when she turned into the Goblin Queen, would have pink skin, so that's what Hasbro went with. But unfortunately, it's not how it ended up. That's the number one huge complaint. The second is with most female figures from Legends, the feet right here. I'm not the biggest fan of when they have feet like this, because it just makes it hard to pose. So I'm going to be using one of the black puck stands that I have left over from DC's Multiverse from McFarlane to help her stand. So she also comes, which I think is really cool, she comes with Nathan, her child with Scott Summers. So really quick pose here. Yeah, so he ended up really cool. I actually think that his sculpt and how he looks is one of the best likenesses we've seen. It looks straight out of what it looked like on the TV show. Little Nathan there. So I do have two of them. I am considering doing a quick custom on one of them to add the techno-organic virus on him, so that it's like post Sinister, and maybe even have him be held by Mr. Sinister or something on my display. I think that'd be cool. And then we also see that it comes with the same little like lightning effects that Hasbro did with the Power Rangers line. So you can put it on her hand and it'd be like a spell or something. And they also come with some closed fists, but I don't think I'll be posing either of them with closed fists. And so I'll have one of these Goblin Queens in my Phoenix display, and the other one I'm just going to have in my generic X-Men animated series display. So that's one down, and let's go see for the next ones. Executioner from this wave. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not the biggest Marvel Comics reader. There's just something that I felt more drawn as a kid and whatnot to DC Comics, and that's just what I got used to. I do love the Marvel stories, and from what I understand, Executioner was a little bit different in his execution. Pun intended, probably, subconsciously. His execution was a little bit different in the cartoon. And the revelation for me when they revealed that Forge was part of the creation of this weapon, I thought was a really cool addition to the story, and it added some gravitas, and you know, it added reasoning for why he goes after Storm, and he was probably searching her out of guilt. I mean, a lot of times in these TV shows, like, oh, he happened to randomly be there, but no, it was a reason. He was searching her out to find vindication for what he had done, and so I thought that was a really cool addition. And let's go ahead and open this bad boy up here. So you see right here, we got our figure. I think it looks really, really cool. The design just jumps off of the page from the TV show. The gun, for those of you who don't know. Interesting. Huh. So, first of all, the gun comes with this cap that goes on top of it. I'm not sure if that's to protect it while it's in the box from bending. That's my guess. So I'm gonna go ahead and place this guy right here. There's a hole, if you haven't seen it yet, there's a hole behind his strap. So place that right there. And then we got these two, so there's holes on the gun itself. So then it's a little ingenious, I think. Let's go ahead and doesn't quite fit in smoothly. So I'll have to do these separately. If it's the best use of this. Alright. So then we got that right here. And bada bing, bada boom. We got ourselves Executioner. So, like I said, I mean, look here. He just pops off the screen. He looks exactly like he did. Not quite sure. I'm probably gonna have to rewatch the show. I don't remember this accessory from the show. So, in the comments section, please go ahead. If you remember, that would be a real help for me on what that little purple egg thing is. I've only seen that episode one time, so you're gonna have to forgive me for my bad memory. But yeah, I thought he was, honestly, if I had my druthers, I would not have asked for this to be one of the figures on the line. I think it would have been better served for somebody else. Morph, for instance. I know we had the cel-shaded morph from a year or so ago, but I think the current morph would have been a much better choice, or Xavier. I know that they want to save some things for the next wave for season 2 and whatnot, but I don't know. I think that was a missed opportunity. He plays such a small role in the show, but it's still cool to have him, I guess. So go ahead and put him to the side here, and we will grab the next toy that is up on the docket. Alright, one of my favorite characters, and I think that would be the case for most anybody, is Nightcrawler. He's just so awesome. Not only is he pious, he's a genuinely good person, and he has a set of morals and ethics that he abides by. Not only that, but he's a great fighter. He's got a cool design. I mean, overall, he's a fan favorite for a reason. And so I was very glad that my wife found him one time in the store. Other than that, I've not seen him anywhere. So very, very lucky, very fortunate to have found him and not have to pay aftermarket prices. So shout out to Mrs. Shiny Sephiroth for nabbing this. Let's go ahead and open him up really quickly. This is a box I'm going to be keeping, by the way. An incision here at the bottom of the box, so I can extract this. All right, so we got him right here. Go ahead and pop him out. You see here he comes with some closed fists, and I personally don't feel like I'm going to be posing him with the closed fists, so let's just keep those on the side for whatever future purposes that might happen. we get 2 different head sculpts for our resident teleporter. So here is him right here. And honestly, I mean, let's look at that articulation here. Whoop, big hand in the way. Right here, we got some double jointed knees, got full articulation of his ankle, and double jointed elbows. I mean, honestly, with the way that he got the ab crunch here, that is hardly visible, so that it's not going to get in the way of how he looks. And I mean, just really quickly here, just kind of, it's not a good pose, but just being able to test what he can do, really cool. Here's his alternate head sculpt, and I'm unsure which one I'm going to be going with here, because both of them are pretty good. So something to, I'm leaning toward this one. I think it's really nice, and yeah. So there we have it right here. We have our Nightcrawler. Really, I thought his addition to the show was fantastic. Being able to touch upon his familiar relationship with Rogue through Mystique, and how they can be family, and how you can choose your family at a certain point, even if the family you ended up with isn't to your liking. That is interesting, though, how Rogue ended up doing that in the end when she paired up with Magneto and followed his lead. Though I do subscribe to the theory that she has absorbed either Bastion or more likely Nimrod / Master Mold when she went, I think it was Trask that she was like mind connecting when she absorbed him. And so I wouldn't be surprised if in future seasons, maybe not season 2, but maybe season 3, that they already reveal that she was being controlled. But anyway, yeah, so I'm really happy that he got some spotlight this season, more so than in the original cartoon, and I'm very excited to see what they do with his character moving forward. So that's 3 reviews down now. Let's go ahead to the next one. All right, now I think that we're at somebody who is probably the shining star of the season. It was the Jean / Madeline story, huge factor in everything. Even though the story did end up being more about the Bastion storyline, it's still connected with Cable, and Cable going back in time, and just what they did with that was, I thought, fantastic. So when I think of this season, she was a highlight. The only thing, and I'm with most everyone else, that was really lame in the finale when she phoenixed her way out of the situation. Okay, sure, Deus Ex Machina. Other than that, I was really excited and really happy with what they did. They kind of did away with the meme that was going on for a while, for years, where I think it's like a 5-minute video of Jean Grey being useless, and she like goes and then she just screams, and every time she tries to breach somebody's mind, oh no! So that was really cool that they went and they undid that with her. So for me, this is a 2-in-1 figure. You got hair up ponytail Jean, which from what we've been told is Jean Grey. That's how she wears her hair. And hair down Jean is Madeline Pryor as Jean Grey. And we, for, I don't know, 5 years? That's probably what it was, right? At some point after the X-Men 97 series, or potentially, I guess. For potentially 5 years, Madeline was with the X-Men, fighting alongside them. I feel like they should have really emphasized that she was with them for years as Jean. So, I mean, she's family. And it makes perfect sense why Scott would continue to be pining for her. Because, I mean, he did marry, or he was married. I don't know if she was the one at the altar, but for years he was the one she was married to, and he had feelings for her. And I mean, for a big chunk of their personality, they're kind of the same person. they didn't show many differences between the two of them. So it would make sense that Scott would have conflicting feelings. So I feel bad for him. But anyway, so like I said, this is like a 2-in-1 figure. I still have the cel-shaded figure, and that's on display. So what I'm going to do, I wasn't the hugest fan of that head sculpt. I don't feel like it really represented what she looked like in the show. These two, however, do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the Jean Grey head, pop it onto the cel-shaded body, and then put the Madeline Pryor head on this one, and display both of them next to Scott. Just like I have Gwen Stacy and Mary and MJ next to Peter in my Spider-Man display. I'm going to have both Madeline and Jean next to Scott, and with a cable toy behind them. So I'm going to go ahead and pop on over really quick to grab the cel-shaded Jean, open up this box, then we can do a comparison and then a head swap right here so we can see how it turns out. Oh, all right. So her ponytail popped Ralph right out of the gate. Let's go ahead and plug that in, I guess. Okay. So, all right. So we have some things to already consider when it comes to that. So I'm going to first of all show that she comes with one fist like this, and I'm probably going to keep it like that. That's pretty cool. Show some defiance. Sorry about that. Show some defiance. Keep the sculpt like that, and then maybe put up to her head like, oh, I'm doing some psychic stuff, like she does in the. It's honestly, this is a solid figure in my opinion. So we got double joints here for the elbow. I like to. They're always so hard to do. Just one second. All right, you got the joints are, it's a double jointed elbow right there, so maybe something like that to show her using her powers. That's cool. All right, now a comparison. Yeah, it's a good attempt, but it doesn't do it justice. And then right here, see, let's see right here. You got the hair. Right here, you can easily see that she has some hair coming out the top of her cowl, and then there's a hole for her ponytail. Whereas here, it just looks like the hair is all flowing out the top, and then she puts it up. I'm not actually sure which one is more screen accurate, but overall, I do like here how her belt. With the cel-shaded figure, the belt, it is able to move around up and down like that. And I do like that her head diamond thing is a lot more visible on this head sculpt than it is here. But overall, this is right here the superior figure. So let me go ahead and pop that head off. Pop off that ponytail too. Head off. And pop this head off here. I don't know what I'll save it for, but there we go. Pop it on there. Whoop, 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 whoop. Here, come back here. No. Here today, gone tomorrow. Am I right? Okay. So already. Huge improvement. Oh yeah, that looks fantastic. I really like that. So we got that over here. And then we got the other head here. Pop that on really quick to create a Madeline Pryor X-Man. And congratulations, we have twins. Yeah, I think that looks fantastic. Cell shading isn't bothering me at all on the other figure. And now I have both Madeline and Jean for my display. Really happy with how that turned out. So 2 thumbs up from me. Highly recommend this. And yeah, so let's go ahead and head over to the next review. All right, this one here I'm a little bit conflicted on. I have the cel-shaded X-Men animated series Cyclops, and off the cuff, I'm not seeing how this is superior to that. And I know I saw some people online saying that they prefer this one than the release for like comics Cyclops with this costume from years ago, and I'm gonna have to disagree. I'm not gonna go, for those of you who saw my my recent short about my X-Men 97, my X-Men display crashing, I got it all set up again, but I am not going to pull that Scott out right now to do a comparison. Here's a picture of him right here. There you go. So I personally think that this Cyclops right here is better than this one. But let's go ahead and open this bad boy up and do a comparison with the cel-shaded version that came out. Yeah. But when it comes to Cyclops' role in the show, he, in my opinion, was always touted as the Boy Scout, like the Captain America, the Superman of the team, who is generally speaking a good boy and doesn't do anything wrong. Which I really like those characters. I think they're really cool, like kind of like how I said earlier about Nightcrawler. But the reason I'm talking about this way about Scott is because in the comics, he's not like that all of the time. He has later storylines that highlight his fall from grace and how he became radicalized and essentially became the new Magneto. And had genocide, he was trying to do genocide and killing people and everything from mutants. Kill Bishop if you have to, kill Cable, his own son, if you have to keep Hope Summers alive. But yeah, so here we go right here. There he is. So yeah, he's fine, I guess. I'm sorry, the toy. The toy is fine. It's great. It looks good. But let's go ahead and do a side-by-side comparison with the cel-shaded version that came out a year or so ago. And in my opinion, I think I prefer the cel-shaded one. I like the hair better. I like the face sculpt better. I mean, we do get this cool head sculpt here. And maybe that's the way I'll display him. So it comes, the package comes with the projectile blast from that dimension that he taps into. So you can plug it in to his visor. I hope I don't have it upside down. No, I don't. So you can get a really cool effect of him blasting something. That's pretty neat. Maybe that's how I'll display this one. But yeah. But right here, as you see the cel-shaded one, I don't know. There's just something about it. I think it looks better, and it's really the head sculpt. I'm seeing some designs here, and I'll show you that in a second, that the body of this X-Men, of this Cyclops, is better. So right here you can see on the cel-shaded, there's no design around here, but there's a design around the X on the new version. So this right here with this laser blast, that's pretty cool. I like that. That definitely makes this figure a whole lot better. But overall, for my X-Men 97 X-Men animated series display, this guy's going to stay as my Cyclops, and then I'll figure out something else to do with this one. I don't know where, but he'll fit in somewhere. Oh, we have one more left back here. And I didn't plan for him to be the last one, but I think it's very fitting, as even though I said that the show was, in my opinion, about Jean and Madeline and all that, and Cyclops to a degree. Oh, before I jump to this, I wanted to finish what I was saying before about Scott before I got interrupted with the toy review. Is we see during the series how he is getting more disillusioned with Professor X, and how he was snappy with the humans, like, oh, thank goodness we're not like you, because otherwise everybody would be gone. You need us to be the way we are because we're saving you. And you can see a little bit more of his arrogance popping through, and that I think the storyline is Messiah Complex. It's leading to this dark Cyclops who is going to be a dictator eventually. And hey, remember I said spoilers, paired with Emma Frost. And her influence in this. Right now, it just feels like all Scott needs is a little push, a little nudge in toward the direction he's already leaning, and we get Dictator Cyclops, which leads to X-Men versus Avengers and whatnot. So, although I love the characterization for animated series Cyclops, and he's a good old boy, we already see the cracks in the facade. And the darkness inside of him that's going to bubble through. And yeah, even though I'm going to be sad to see good old boy Cyclops go, characterization-wise, storytelling-wise, it's going to be an interesting pathway, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they tackle it in the animated series. But if they subvert expectations and just keep Scott as a good old boy, I'll be happy there too, because, you know, I'm a sucker for good guys staying good. But yeah, mentioning people becoming good or staying good or whatnot, let's talk about Magneto. First of all, I just like to say that the head sculpt is perfect. I mean, you can say what you want about the Claremont era good guy Magneto costume. It's weird. I don't know if in the comics there's an explanation for this costume. Just take a step back and think. You got what he would be, I don't know, the oldest, 8 years old during the Holocaust era, and so that would be 50 years earlier. So he's in his late 50s, maybe early 60s, and he's like, you know what? I'm turning a new leaf. I'm gonna take on the Xavier School for the Gifted. What can I wear to show the people that I have changed? Ah, yes. My leotard with my first initial on there, and then my Prince-inspired opera gloves. Perfect. And don't forget my lavish cape that comes built in with a scarf. What more screams, I'm a good guy now? Okay, sure, man. Maybe if you're going to a P. Diddy party, that would be a good costume to wear. But it's a little weird. Other than that, but however, I do think it's really cool that the show runners decided to adapt this costume into the storyline. So I mean, it's a really cool tribute and honor to the comics. But yeah, so I mean, once again, like I said, look at this. That head sculpt is on point. So really cool. It really, just like a couple of the other ones I said, it looks like it jumps off the screen. And it's in your collection. I think this is one of the best toys that they came out with. It's so cool. Really excited to be putting it into the collection. So while I open this up, let's talk about Magneto. Good guy, bad guy, what do you think? And it's a little jarring if you try to watch the animated series, the original animated series, because there are a lot of things that happen in the animated series that I feel show that they were going one way with things, and then they decided they went with the flow, and they changed some things and they retconned some things. A big retcon here is the Magneto characterization. I think this does tie in with how things kind of end up with him in the original series. However, I think it's still a little weird, to be honest, that he is so empathetic and that you can connect with him so much here, as opposed to the villain from the animated series. Both of them still have their thoughts on mutant liberation and how dare the humans, why should we do anything for the humans. That stays, but there's more nuance to him now. It's kind of like looking at Guardians of the Galaxy Thanos versus Infinity War Thanos. And it wouldn't be fair to talk about Endgame Thanos because that's a completely different character who was written more as a villain, not only because he's a different person, but I also think it was to not get people, like, oh no, but he has a point, maybe we shouldn't kill him. But the way that they wrote him and the version of Thanos that we saw in Endgame, it was like, what was the line? Like, I've always felt bad, but this planet, this one I'm going to enjoy destroying. So it was kind of like, oh, I don't have sympathy for him anymore. And now for Magneto, all we have, or what we're supposed to, it worked for me, is sympathy for him. He's a Holocaust survivor. He is very adamant about fighting injustices. He has been discriminated against, which is, in and of itself, his reaction to it is discriminatory. I mean, just because it's like not all humans, but he's going to punish the entire planet, even mutant sympathizers and people who fight on the Hill every day for mutant rights. He's going to punish them too. Okay, all humans are the same. I think that shows a little bit of his villainy, especially in the end. I think they really, really undersold how many people he killed when he was taking out the Prime Sentinels. Because you have to take into account the planes that fell off course. You have to take into account hospitals that, like NICUs and ICUs and trauma wards, people on life support, all those people, kaput, people in hospice, people who are driving on the street, if they had electric cars, that didn't have a backup engine. This is 97, so I guess that's not a thing. But at the very least, you have traffic lights that were taken out of commission and causing accidents. So, all of the things that people were curious about with, back to Endgame and Infinity War, with the snap, the blip, those things that people were concerned about and what Thanos killed people and whatnot because of people disappearing, that's what happened here in the X-Men series. Those people died. Magneto did a huge war crime. And I don't know if there's going to be redemption for him. But at the same time, in the public eye, he's dead. And I could even see them going the route at the end of the series, him saying, like when they fix the whole time displacement thing, maybe he finds a lucky person that he falls in love with. Magneto just saying, I found love here. I found love here. Goodbye, Rogue. And I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to move forward with, there's no life for me back there. I'm a war criminal, all this, that, and the other. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to live my life in this timeline or whatever. And who knows, maybe he becomes the Age of Apocalypse Magneto, heck, that would be awesome. Okay, so they explore the Age of Apocalypse timeline, and he and Xavier are dead in the Age of Apocalypse timeline, but he stays in the Age of Apocalypse timeline. And that gets cemented or whatnot. It doesn't get erased like we've seen other timelines in the X-Men franchise get erased. That one stays the same. He stays. He marries that version of Rogue, so that our Rogue, once she's taken off of mind control from Nimrod and whatnot, she can go back to Gambit once Gambit is cured of death, like double entendre, I guess, both of being dead and becoming death, one of Apocalypse's horsemen. So she can speak with Gambit, and then Magneto can have his happily ever after in the Age of Apocalypse timeline by marrying that Rogue. And yeah, I'm game for that. That's my heart canon. That's a DC Watchtower, DC AU Watchtower. Yeah, I love that term you guys came up with, heart canon. That's my heart canon. I hope that they go that route. That'd be really cool. And everybody gets what they want. And then we don't have Magneto coming back to a world that wants to execute him, because he's already been pardoned once. I can't see him being able to finagle his way out of another pardon. But with that, he was such a fascinating character. I was very excited to learn more about him and to see his evolution. He grew the most out of any character from the previous series. And I really think that it showed his restraint, how all of these years he could have ripped the adamantium off of Wolverine, and he only did it because Wolverine escalated the battle. And you know, Zordon from Power Rangers would have been very proud, because he said one of the core tenets of being a good guy is to not escalate the battle. It was one of the core rules for the at least the Mighty Morphin team, and I'm sure it went down to all other 20 teams after them. But yeah, he only escalated the battle. He met Wolverine at Wolverine's level. Wolverine goes for the kill, Magneto goes for the kill. So I think that was a really cool, I don't know if it was accidental characterization, but once again, heart canon. That's my heart canon for Magneto. Anyway, let's go ahead and pop him out of his shell. They equipped him right out of the gate with his fists, but I think I'm going to change that in the display to his open hands. I think that makes more sense for him. I'm torn on which head sculpt I'm going to have him displayed. I'm leaning toward putting this one on the Magneto head for the Magneto that came out with this wave, and have him be helmetless. Not 100% sure if I'm going to do that or not. But I feel like him not wearing the helmet is a symbol of being a good guy. And I'm going to say, after his actions at the end of the last season of the original series and how he ends up in this series, he's a good guy. Just like they couldn't make him a bad guy in the Singer films. He's too compelling, and he's got too much reasoning to be a bad guy. At best, he's an anti-hero. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the next review then. Alright, so you might be confused about why I said there's more to review, because it's like, hey, didn't you just cover the entire wave? Well, I do have a few other things that I got. They're actually in Ziploc bags, as you can see here. But the first one I want to go over is something I got from someone I met recently in my state's toy hunting group. So big shout out to Ronan. Thank you so much for selling these. He had extras that he was wanting to sell, and it was for a very good price. So it was a fantastic transaction. Thank you so much. I'm very glad to add these to the collection. These are Prime Sentinels from the HasLab. So here is the female Prime Sentinel. Here is Bastion. And a Prime Sentinel head that comes with him as well. So I thought it was very cool that I was able to get these, especially since the prices skyrocketed on eBay when he premiered as the villain for this season. And first of all, on that note, he was a fantastic villain. His voice actor did a great job. The writing was superb. From what I can gather, he's actually like a D-tier villain in the comics. And they were able to get him and do this amazing stuff with him and just make a very compelling story about mutant self-hating, just the widespread eradication, tying in the Days of Future Past timeline with other time-traveling incidents that have happened with the series. It was fantastic. So I was very glad to be able to pick him up, especially since I originally wanted to get the HasLab Sentinel, but I was in grad school at the time. Money was being paid toward tuition and other living expenses. I was not able to purchase him when the Sentinels came out. I was able to get Galactus the next year, so that was cool. And I never circled back on Sentinel, just wasn't in my mind. And so I'm really glad to be able to pick these up. And if I ever do get the opportunity to get the HasLab Sentinel, then I'll be able to use the extra head or something. Anyway, I'll have at least a use for some of these extra things, and I'll have more Prime Sentinels hanging about. So that was the first thing I grabbed. The second thing I grabbed was this Wolverine, and he's also from the same group, toy hunting group, that I recently joined on Facebook. And this is Raymundo. Was able to get this for me. He got it for me at MSRP. He heard that I was missing it, and he offered to sell it to me for MSRP. He had gotten in a bulk order that he did, and so I'm very, very grateful for that. I passed up on him the first go around because I thought, I already have a Wolverine, the cell-shaded one, and I already have another Wolverine in my comic display. But then I really looked at it, and the one in my comic display was the Marvel Select from Diamond Select, and he was too big. I moved him to a different part of my display now that I have him. Going to put him in there instead. So that was a mistake on my part that I am so glad that Ray was able to help rectify. So thanks a ton, man. I really appreciate that. And here's a side-by-side comparison with the cell shaded. Honestly, I think they're both really good. I don't have an issue with either of them. And so, I'm really happy to get this guy in. I'm going to have him stand in as my comic book Wolverine. Because he's that good. And he does come with a mask so that you can put that around his neck for when you put on his maskless version. Oh, it sounds like it's raining outside. So yeah, and I think the head sculpt for him is really good as well. See that right there. So yeah, really glad to have him. Wolverine, I'm going to mimic what a lot of other people have said. He didn't show up a lot this season. And that was fine for me. Sometimes you don't have to have the story center around you. And he's had a lot of storylines that do center around him. And it wasn't needed this season. And the bit that he was used was fantastic. So overall, A+. And the other thing I have in a baggie here, we go ahead and pull her out. She does not come with her Build-A-Figure, but that's fine because I did get her Build-A-Figure with her Chase variant. So we see right here, Rachel Summers. Rachel Summers is the daughter of Jean and Scott from the Days of Future Past timeline. Go ahead and put on her little fire things on her hand. Guessing this one goes on her fist. She doesn't scream the cheerleader type to me, so go ahead and not have her up in the air like, yeah. All right, so here we go. I think it's really cool how she has her colors be Marvel Girl. On the box, it even says that she is Marvel Girl, and she does take on that. Well, after she joins the team, she takes on that moniker after her alternate timeline mom. I guess both versions of her mom at one point in their history went by the name Marvel Girl. So, she was standing for a second. There you go. So there's that. And here's this right here that I got. Found this at a local comic shop. And it does come with the Brood Queen Build-A-Figure piece. I doubt I'm going to be able to collect all of these, partially because I don't know if I want to collect all of these, and it's all probably going to be super expensive with the Build-A-Figure piece. And I'm certain that the Brood Queen will be released sometime in the next decade, so I have patience. I can wait. But yeah, so and more about the Chase variant here. So the Chase for her is when there's this huge thing that happens, and they have to contain, I think it's like a supernova or something in the comics. And so the X-Men, like Bishop and Storm and a few others, they hold her by the hand, and they use Bishop to channel the energy, and then he passes the energy onto her, and then she turns herself into a black hole to absorb that massive destruction that's happening. It's a really cool panel that you're seeing right here, and yeah. So, but the reason that I tied her in with this, and I bought her before the finale to X-Men 97, so I'm really glad I slipped in and did that before it was too late. It was something I actually been thinking about and hoping that eventually, I didn't think it'd be this season, but I was hoping that maybe at the end of season 2 that they would throw this in. Mother Askani. Like I said, spoilers for season 2. She is Mother Askani. Really complicated. You can look a little more into it, but the long and short of it is she was from the Days of Future Past timeline, traveled to the main timeline. She went and helped ensure that some issues didn't happen, and helped avert like the Days of Future Past timeline. But that timeline ended up being cemented, kind of like in DC there's hyper time. And so that it became, the Days of Future Past became more of a what if timeline, and so she was able to stay anchored to it and still exist and not be a paradox. And so she stayed with the X-Men. She was a member of the team for quite a while. And then at one point she was a holder of the Phoenix Force. She had a lot of different adventures, and things ended up happening that she was transported to the future. Actually, in the TV show, you see Bishop take baby Cable, baby Nathan, to the future, and in the comic it's actually Rachel that does it. And they end up in this timeline, and they end up some point in the future, they meet up with the Askani tribe. She ends up becoming, through a series of events, Mother Askani. And at one point, and I think they might be doing a version of this during season 2, at one point she gets Jean and Scott's consciousness, and she teleports their consciousness to her timeline, and they possess two people. They go by the name of Red, for Jean, red hair, Red and Slim was Cyclops' nickname early on in the comics. Hey, Slim! 1950s, 1960s stuff. It was a thing. So hey, Slim. So Slim and Red, they possessed. Well, she placed their consciousness into these two people, and for many years they actually raised Nathan, and so they were able to technically be there for him. I don't know if or when in the comics Cable finds out that they did this, but Jean and Scott do know that they were able to do that. And I don't know. I know that there is a lot of justice for Madeline for the comics. Apparently she always gets the short end of the stick. So I'm not sure if that's part of that. Because it's like, oh, wait. So you're saying that Jean got to raise Nathan? Why didn't Madeline get to raise him? Well, she was dead. But her death didn't quite stick. People thought she was going to be like an Uncle Ben, not so much Gwen Stacy anymore, but apparently no, she's been retroactively, she's been rewound, and last I heard she was still alive. So yeah, but anyway, I was really happy when I saw this at a comic shop. $25 with the Build-A-Figure, all in package. Yeah, that's a huge win. And then I was able, this one was the cheapest one I could find on eBay, and it was a little bit more expensive than her. But overall, I still got one intact, so that was really cool. And very topical, yeah. So I'm very excited to see them play with the Days of Future Past timeline a little bit more in season 2. because Mother Askani is in play, and if she's in play, Rachel's in play, and if Rachel's in play, we're going to see some more Days of Future Past. I'm very excited to see their interpretation and see how things end up. Overall, show's fantastic. I'm very excited with it. I'm so excited for season 2. Excited to do this toy display, which I'm going to work on right now. So, yeah, let's go ahead and see how the display turned out. All right, so here's how it all turned out. Really liking how the display is looking here. This is the X-Men 97 display. You can see Goblin Queen right behind Madeline and baby Nathan next to Cyclops and Jean. We got these 97 figures here. Magneto standing behind next to Rogue and behind Xavier. Then we got old school Toy Biz Beast and Xavier, hoping for releases of both of those when the time's right. And same with Colossus and Iceman. Also here in the back, if you see, there is the mutant cycle that was from the toy line in the 90s that made a cameo appearance in the X-Men hangar of vehicles. So that same day, before the prices skyrocketed, I went and I nabbed one for myself. I do see a few of them on eBay going for a little bit more than they were before, but I think a lot of people either didn't notice, and so it hasn't been like selling as much. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people, eBayers, who are thinking, why in the world is this selling all of a sudden? If I recall correctly, it was like once every few months one of these would sell, but almost weekly, at least one has sold over, or daily or something like that. But they're selling a lot more often now than they were back in the past. So I'd suggest if you want one, now is probably the time to invest and grab one before they all sell. Overall, really happy with how the display is turning out. Oh, also an old Toy Biz cable back there. But yeah, so that's pretty neat. Oh, down here we have another Goblin Queen right here with the other Phoenix. Really want to have a white Phoenix someday. That'd be great to put there right next. I know she's not evil, but just to fill everything out. Then right here, Bastion in front of Nimrod. I really like having them together there. And oh, with this Magneto here, I think I realized that I had an evil Magneto in my display, so I skipped on the X-Men 97 Magneto. So tomorrow, I mean, you can find them everywhere still. This is end of May 2024. They're still like, this version of Magneto from the 97 series right now is a shelf warmer, at least where I live. So I am going to grab that and then put the other Magneto head on him and put him near him in the display. And I went ahead, that Marvel girl, I was considering putting her over here, but since she hasn't shown up yet in the show and they might do a toy of her, I ended up putting her here. I don't have a Days of Future Past display or anything, so this is the place that I feel makes the most sense for her to be. And then we have my comic main X-Men display. This part here I really love, being able to see these two together. I think they're really, really cool sculpts from Marvel Select. But anyway, this is my display, and you can see right up here that I added the X-Men 97 Wolverine as my main comic display for Wolverine. Yeah, this is, I mean, it's a work in progress. There's some holes still that need to be filled, but overall, it's, I'm liking it, feeling really happy how it's turning out. And I believe that's it. Oh, and then there's the other baby Nathan that I'm going to custom with the Techno Organic Virus and put him here with Sinister. Other than that, that's pretty much everything. I'm really happy with how it all turned out. Thank you all so much for coming and visiting here at the Retroverse Nexus. Please remember that we have a giveaway. So not only to help me out, put a like in this video, but also subscribe. Once we hit 100 subscribers, 150, 200, etc. We have different milestones when we do different giveaways. And because of YouTube's privacy features, I can't see everyone who is subscribed. So I do it based off of comments. So if you want a chance to win the next giveaway, which is at 100 subs, we're about 25-ish, I think, right now away from hitting that. Once we hit 100 subs, we'll do another giveaway. And so on and so forth until we hit 1,000, and then it'll be at different times instead of based off of subscriber counts. But yeah, so leave a comment if you want to be a part of the giveaway, or if you want to help out the channel, leave a like, go ahead and subscribe so we can help out with that. And leave it in your comments, leave what you thought about the X-Men 97 series. I'd love to get your perspectives. Anyway, this has been Shiny Sephiroth, and I hope to see you in the next video.